Hello, my name is Yonina Kaufman. As part of my introduction to special education class, I am here to discuss the topic of an IEP. Before we can discuss what an IEP is, we must define it. An IEP is an individual educational plan, which is a written document that describes the educational plans for a student with a disability. The IEP developmental process must consider the child's strengths, parent or guardian's concerns for the child's education, the results of the child's individual evaluation, the results of any state or district-wide tests or assessments, and any unique needs related to the child's disability, such as communication needs, behavior, etc. The IEP evolves from a discussion that discusses the current level of functioning of that child. Goals are then determined. Supports and services and modifications that the child needs to reach these goals are then discussed. Finally, the location and the placement of this child are then decided upon. The location as to where these services will be provided and the student's placement must be in the least restrictive environment. The IDEA requires that each student with a disability who receives special education services have an IEP. The IEP assists schools in meeting each of the student's needs. The IEP is developed by a team of people. In summary, the IEP discusses the child's current skills and abilities and establishes educational goals for a 12-month period. The IEP is prepared at the IEP team meeting. The purpose of an IEP is twofold. It documents the child's eligibility for special education services, as well as it formalizes in writing the school system's plans for providing a free, appropriate public education that will meet the child's unique needs in the least restrictive environment. That is, to the maximum extent appropriate, alongside his or her non-disabled peers. Introducing the team members of the IEP meeting. The team members consist of the student, if appropriate, the student's parents or guardian, general education teachers, the special education teachers, a representative of the school district, the school psychologist, school social worker, school physician if upon request, parent member unless the parent requests that the parent member not participate, and any other people that have knowledge or special expertise regarding the student, including related service personnel as appropriate as requested by the parent or school district. In reviewing and assessing an IEP, their performance objectives must be monitored regularly and systemically by all personnel that was involved in implementing the IEP. Timelines need to be established for the implementation of these services, as well as process for monitoring and recording the review dates on the IEP. Communication among teachers is crucial. It is vital and it needs to be done regularly. It can track the difficulties in implementation, as well as discuss the assessment data. This data informs the team members of students' progress, the effectiveness of teaching and learning strategies, and the resources chosen for the daily plan. If progress is slow, the team can revise the performance goals, the strategies, and the resources should be consistent with the student's specific outcomes. In reviewing an IEP must be thoroughly and formally reviewed on an annual basis. Changes are made depending on the child's progress. The team may decide that special education services are no longer needed. Team discusses any new information that suggests that changes may be made in the student's plan. The discussion also includes whether or not the IEP is still an accurate reflection of the student's educational needs. Then, specific outcomes might be selected based on the student's changes in interests, behaviors, needs, and strengths. I will now discuss the layout of an IEP. This page discusses the current level of performance. The second pages discuss the social and emotional performance of the student. We then discuss the health and the physical development of the student. Annual goals and short-term objectives are then defined. In writing annual goals, they must be written with SMART goals. SMART stands for specific, written in clear, unambiguous language. Measurable, allow the student achievement to be described, assessed, and evaluated. Achievable, realistic for the student. Relevant, meaningful for the student, and time-related, which can be accomplished within a specific time period, typically 1 school year. We then discuss the school environment and the service recommendations, and if a child cannot be in the least restrictive environment, the IEP must discuss why. And then other programs or services must be considered and reasons for the rejection if an IEP is not recommended for the student. The participation in school activities, related service recommendations, and participation in assessments is then written down. If a child is transitioning from elementary school or junior high school to high school, a transition plan must be discussed and defined for what to be the next school year. An IEP meeting is conducted as such. The team is first introduced to the parent. The IEP is then discussed with the parent. The goals are explained specific for that student, as well as the recommendations designed for that student. The process of the parent's rights is then discussed with the parent. The due process rights include, but are not limited to, the right to consent to all initial evaluations and reevaluations. However, if the CSE makes documented efforts to obtain the consent for reevaluation and a parent does not respond to this request, they may conduct a reevaluation without a parent's consent. The right to participate meaningfully in decision-making through attendance at an IEP meeting. This includes IEP meetings held at the child's school and at the Committee on Special Education. This includes the parental rights to bring other individuals with special knowledge or expertise about the child to the meetings to help in the decision-making process. The parents have a right to copies of the evaluation and a child's IEP. They have a right to conflict resolution, mediation, and an impartial hearing if they disagree with any decisions about this IEP. The right to an independent evaluation paid for by New York City Department of Education if the department does not evaluate their child within 60 calendar days of signing the consent to evaluate. They have the right to an independent evaluation if they do not agree with the CSE's evaluation. The parent must notify the CSE of this request in writing. CSE may either agree to pay for this independent evaluation, or another impartial hearing must be initiated to show that the evaluations are appropriate. If a parent challenges the CSE's recommendation, the right to pendency or stay put in your child's current placement for the duration of any due process proceedings until the matter is resolved, or a parent can reach an agreement with CSE. Another crucial aspect of a parent's rights is the fact that if they no longer want special services for their child, they may at any time take their child out of these services. In conclusion, an IEP is a federally mandated requirement for any student receiving special education. Thank you and have a good day.